Coffee is the most important product in the history of Costa Rica as the country, throughout its cultivation and production, succeeding permanently linking itself to the global marketplace. Its development began around the 1820s, although its expansion in the Central Valley did not take place until 1830, especially in San Jose. Contributing to its successful development were the physical and natural conditions of the country, the agricultural vocation of its population, the abilities of the business community, and the support of the country's leader, who knew how to explore and exploit all of the possibilities inherent in the new product. The coffee was first exported to Chile and then to the Great Britain, thereby securing for itself a place in European markets. It became the primary model of national development towards the end of the 1970s, becoming, however, subject to fluctuations in the global marketplace. In Costa Rica, the tokens emerged due to the development of coffee production, creating a growing necessity for coins of lower denomination in order to pay the salary of the workers involved in this activity. Faced with the scarcity of coins, the coffee workers were paid with boletos, a word which in Costa Rica derives from boleta, a type of voucher or ticket. The year in which they were first minted remains unclear, but we know that by the beginning of the 1840s, a number of tokens were already circulating with the name Jerónimo Fernández. The tokens were used in the coffee-based economy to pay the salaries of the agricultural workers and to buy and sell items for daily use. To each coffee picker, tokens were given for the quantity of coffee picked. The tokens were then exchanged on the weekend for the cash equivalent of the price of the value of coffee picked. Also, they were used to buy products for daily consumption, either at the supply stores of the plantation owner or at businesses that have an arrangement with the proprietor. Some coffee growers, also involved with trade, put the value of the tokens based on the national monetary system current during their era. In Costa Rica, large, medium, and small growers minted tokens that displayed the value of the product in units of value such as boxes, measures, and baskets of coffee. Also, they minted other tokens with values equivalent to the national currency such as pesos, reales, centavos, céntimos, and colones. In this way, the tokens constituted a type of private currency that circulated side by side with the national currency. The first known tokens used, which date from 1840s, correspond to the plantations of the first and most prominent coffee growers. Among the first tokens were those of the Montealegre family, Juan Rafael Mora Porras, José Joaquín Mora, Santiago Fernández, Gordiano Fernández, and Vicente Aguilar. Generally, the complexity of the token's designs reflect the economic capacity of the plantation owner. For this reason, a variety of designs were issued, from those that display an effigy of the plantation owner to others that were simple circles of metal with the initials of the issuer. Initially, the geographic use and distribution of the tokens followed the expansion of the cultivations of coffee in the large production plantations. Their use began in the Central Valley in the 1840s and expanded towards other zones in Alajuela, San Ramon, and Reventazón Turrialba towards the end of the 19th and the beginning of the 20th centuries. It continued to extend towards the south of the country, especially in the cantons of Pérez Celedón and Cotogruz, and also in the North Pacific region and Northern Plains, primarily during the first half of the 20th century. In the later two regions, the tokens were also used in other productive activities, such as cattle ranching. The metal tokens, just like coins, were made by a minting process. Many Costa Rican tokens were minted outside of the country. However, we have reference to the minting of tokens in Costa Rica since the 1860s, and during a major part of the 20th century, this was done by private entities. It was not until the 1920s that tokens were minted in the National Mint of Costa Rica. The most commonly used materials were brass, bronze, and copper, as well as nickel, aluminum, lead, synthetic resins, and in more recent times, plastic and cardboard. Furthermore, some national foreign coins were made available to several company managers to be used as tokens, restamping them with complex seals and numbers, or simply with the stamped initials of the coffee grower. Generally, the coffee plantation tokens were circular, although there exist other different geometric forms such as triangles, squares, octagons, and rectangles. The diameter of the more common circular piece varied from 7 mm up to 47 mm. On the coffee plantation tokens can be found a diverse range of images and inscriptions. The most common elements are names of the coffee grower or of the companies that had the tokens minted, the name of the haciendas, plantations, or their geographical location. Also found are representations of animals such as cows, elephants, swans, insects, and eagles. The tokens also feature people, flowers, baskets, the national shield of Costa Rica, as well as effigies. Other tokens simply consist of a piece of metal or plastic on which were stamped the denomination and initials of the grower. The tokens facilitated transactions of goods, as well allowing the coffee grower to have money available to be able to fulfill his workers' wage obligations and have official currency, being so scarce at the time to be able to invest in the production and processing of the coffee. On some occasions, thanks to the use of tokens, coffee growers may double their earnings. In one way, using them to pay salaries, forced workers to use the tokens to acquire goods from the stores that were property of the same coffee growers. In another way, as they could use the tokens in the stores with which the plantation owner had an arrangement with the store owner, the workers had to pay a certain percentage in order that their tokens be accepted there. Nonetheless, in many cases, for the workers, these measures ended up favoring them, given the fact that this plantation or plantation-associated stores did not exist. They would have to have traveled considerable distance in order to acquire basic goods. The use of tokens was implemented for two reasons. First, in order to deal with the necessity of money of low denomination, and second, due to the ready compliance of successive governments in approving the token system, since many of the major coffee growers were prominent figures in the political life of the country. The circulation of private coins, in some cases equivalent to the value of official coins, was, for all intents and purposes, an illegal activity. The only backing for the tokens was only the trust that one would have in the word of the coffee grower who issued them, whereas official currency was backed itself by gold and silver, the metals of which the coins were made. Coffee plantation tokens have been consolidated as an alternative means of payment in coffee plantations since 1840, and towards the second half of the 20th century, their use began to decrease since the problem of the shortage of official currency had been solved. Today, tokens are used on very few coffee plantations and only to keep track of the volume of coffee collected by workers who exchange for their cash equivalent at the end of the work week.